Hello, this is Stephen Carter, your host for the Safe Living Today podcast. This episode will be brief. There's just a couple of things that I would like to share. One is my condolences to the victims, to the families of those who have been slaughtered in Las Vegas in an unspeakable act, a treacherous act, a hateful, unbelievable act of mass murder. I'll not give this person any publicity. I'll not mention his name. I even don't like the idea of calling him a person. There really is no word that I can say on this podcast to describe him. In a moment, you'll hear a comment by the head commissioner for the Clark County government, Stephen Sisolak. Stephen appeared in a news conference the night of October 2nd. He did an absolute marvelous job in describing and praising the actions of the brave men and women in law enforcement, the fire service, and the security service for the hotel where this shooter did his horrible deeds. Let's hear from Commissioner Sisolak now.
Just have a very few words I'd like to say. Again, this has had several of these today, and it's been a long, long day for a lot of us. But I just left Mr. Jim Murn. I want to have a special thank you to two groups that we had. Our first responders, obviously our medical personnel responded, but for the fact of the great work done by the men and women of Metro and the security at Mandalay Bay, we would have lost hundreds, if not thousands, more lives. I mean, they were able to triangulate and locate that room and get people in there and save countless lives. And for that, we will be eternally grateful for the work that you did. And in conjunction with MGM, we did set up with the sheriff the GoFundMe campaign, and I appreciate Todd saying something. As when I walked in here, we've received in excess of 30,000 donations, exceeding $2.2 million. When we started it, we set the goal at $500,000. We got to $100,000, and one individual called and said, I will get you to your goal. And he donated $400,000. That individual was anonymous until now. He has said that we could release his name. It was Stephen Klubeck, donated $400,000 to support this community. We ask you all to support our community. And again, I'd like to ask you, next time you see one of our first responders, whether it be Metro or it be fire or what have you, tell them thank you, because we owe them an eternal debt of gratitude for what they did.
In addition to my praise and admiration for the men and women in law enforcement, in the fire service, in the security group for the hotel, whose actions undoubtedly saved hundreds and hundreds of other people, I also want to praise the actions of the everyday people who found themselves in harm's way, but in that moment of crisis, found it within themselves to help those other audience members who had been shot. And indeed, in one case, one individual covered his wife, giving up his life to save hers. There were countless stories of people helping gunshot victims in the crowd, risking their own lives to do so. I would also like to suggest to you, with the extreme notoriety that this person received, there will undoubtedly be others with equally sick or even more depraved in their thinking, more hungry for their 15 minutes of fame, who will copy or attempt to copy the behavior of this killer. If there's someone that you know, perhaps a friend or someone in your family, who you believe could be the next mass killer, please, I encourage you to take action to get that individual help before it's too late. If you see something, say something. If you know something, say something. Let's not have any more tragic events like this anywhere in our country. To return to the commissioner's statement, there is a GoFundMe page that has been set up to help the victims of this tragedy. As I record this podcast, there is almost $3.5 million already collected in that GoFundMe effort. If you would like to contribute to this GoFundMe effort, you can find that page in one of two ways. First, you can, of course, Google it, GoFundMe page for Las Vegas tragedy. That should take you to the result on Google. on that first page. Or, even easier, go to my webpage at safelivingtoday.com. Simply scroll down to this episode, and I'll have that GoFundMe page linked up in the show notes. I do hope you find it in your heart to contribute. No amount is too small, so please find it in your heart to contribute whatever you can to help the victims of this tragedy. If you'd like to get in touch with me by email, email me at safelivingtoday@gmail.com. Until our next episode, this is Stephen Carter of the Safe Living Today Show, asking you to please stay safe, stay well, keep the victims of this tragedy in your prayers, and stay blessed.